What's up and welcome to the Kinda Funny Gamescast for Tuesday, July 8th, 2025. Of course, I'm your host, Tim Geddes. I'm joined today by Blessing Adeoye Jr.
Good day, Tim.
Good day to you. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah?
I mean, watched Superman last night.
Yes, you did. I did as well. I don't want to give too much of my thoughts because, of course, we have In Review coming later in the week. Reviews are, we're not allowed to give reviews yet.
Of course,
but we are allowed to give initial thoughts. Would you like to give any?
I'll just say I'm coming off of a high.
Okay.
Yes.
Look up.
I'll leave it at that.
Bless.
Look up. Yeah, look up. You might see me up there.
I love that. Okay.
That's all I'll say.
Okay, good. Well, I like that a lot. That sounds great. But we're not talking about Superman today. Oh, no. That's Thursday, everybody. We're talking about Donkey Kong today.
Let's go.
All right. I'm so excited for this because we are doing a review of Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, one of my favorite platformers of all time. Definitely one of my favorite recent platformers, but then it breaks my heart when I realize this game's over 10 years
I was going to
old.
say not recent at all.
I know.
Not recent whatsoever.
But you haven't played through it. So this is your first time and you are in the hype leading into Donkey Kong Bananza. You're like, you know what? Now is the time. We're getting funky, baby. We're playing Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. But we'll get into all that in just a little bit because this is the Kinda Funny Gamescast, where each and every weekday we get together to talk about the biggest reviews, previews, and topics in video games live on YouTube, Twitch, and podcast services around the globe. If you love what we do, like reviewing old games just to get hyped for new ones, I think that's very awesome that we have an amazing audience like y'all that supports that stuff. So thank you for showing up day in and day out for all the shenanigans we have here at Kinda Funny. If you like them, please get the Kinda Funny membership on Patreon, YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts to get all of our shows ad-free and a daily exclusive show. That show is Greg Way. For a chance to be part of this show, submit your thoughts and opinions as YouTube Super Chats as we go. What's your hype levels at for Donkey Kong Bananza? We are very, very close. We're like 10 days away. Something like that. 9 days.
Oh my God.
Right? It's the 17th, I think. Yeah, we're getting real close.
Holy shit.
Banana. So yeah, remember, Housekeeping. We're an 11-person business, all about live talk shows. Games Daily was all about the Ghost of Yotei State of Play being announced coming this week. After this episode of Gamescast, we are doing a Death Stranding 2 stream with Greg Miller. That should be fun.
Yeah.
Him, I don't know what he's doing, but building roads.
I assume so, yeah. He's already beaten the game, so he's just be doing, I think, open world stuff, building roads, delivering packages, and that's, of course, to build up hype for the Death Stranding 2 spoiler cast happening tomorrow.
I
believe tomorrow, or later this week. This week's been crazy.
Time has been flying, man. Yeah. Life's been crazy. A lot's been going on. I cannot believe Death Stranding 2 is just straight up out. People are playing it.
As of today, the calendar says tomorrow, so we can say tomorrow the Death Stranding 2 spoiler cast is happening.
Get hyped, everybody, for that's one. If you're a Kinda Funny member, another thing to get hyped for, it is Greg's 21-minute review of James Gunn's Superman. So if you want that hot off the press, fresh out the theater thoughts from Greg Miller, you got to go get the Greg Way today. Thank you to our Patreon producers, Delaney, the Psalm Twining, Carl Jacobs, and Omega Buster. Today, we're brought to you by Shady Rays, but we'll tell you all about that later. For now, let's get into the topic of the show. So it's Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze review by Blessing in 2025, but it's also just a Donkey Kong Bananza hype check. I might want to pull Roger in here at some point because that boy's out there hype as fuck.
No, he's like, we got to start calling him Roger Kong or something. Yeah. Like he's part of the family. Yeah. I think there's something about, we got to have a conversation about like me, you, and Roger and just like cute furry critters. Because between Sonic, between DK, I guess Mario's not furry or critter.
No, he can be when he wears the cat suit.
Sometimes he is,
the Tanuki suit.
Yeah, but like there's something about these guys.
Can I be vulnerable with you for a second?
Go for it.
I don't like Mario in the Tanuki suit.
No.
I like him with the Tanuki tail and the hat with the little ears.
Why not
I don't like him when he's full Tanuki.
I don't.
Never go full Tanuki.
No?
Mm-mm.
What is it the thing?
It's the erasure. That's what it is.
Did you not get far enough in Mario 3 all the time? Is it the fact that it's like that's a later game upgrade?
It's a couple things. First off, yes, it was a much rarer item.
You never really saw the
Tanuki
getting the Tanuki.
And then you get it. Jesus God.
Holy shit.
Damn Christ. But then you get it and you're like, what's it do different besides looking adorable? Because yes, it looks adorable. I understand that. This is not an Astrobot situation. I'm here for the looks of it.
It's a good design.
But you can kind of just hit down B and then go in the background as a statue and let enemies pass you.
Yeah.
It's useless. It's you. Have you ever used that? Ever?
No.
Okay. Yeah.
But like it was cool. I think here's the thing. I think this is why canonically we fuck with the Tanuki. And this is to the credit of Mario 3, is that they pace out the power-ups so well to where later game you start getting weird shit. And the Tanuki, I think, was the peak of like, what the fuck? I'm a statue.
Grimo's
like
shoe is definitely the weirdest one.
The shoe is weird. The frog suit I fucked with. It's crazy.
Sick though.
How you go from Super Mario Brothers 1, and it is like, all right, you can throw fireballs. That's like the one upgrade.
That's it.
And then you get to Mario
and the
3.
star, I guess, but that's
sure.
different. That's a temporary power up.
But you get to Super Mario Brothers 3, and like somewhere in the Nintendo design room, they're like, put him in a frog.
Put him in a frog.
Put him in a frog. And it's like, what the? How'd you get here?
That's the thing. How'd they get there? My favorite thing about Nintendo is that how they got there is mostly obvious. It's like, oh, they had a full water world. They're like, we need a power up that makes you swim better. What should it be? Frog.
Yes.
Fucking frog.
They're fucking geniuses.
They're geniuses. No one else can pull
Tanuki,
that
I think, was like the start of like,
but
oh
here's
man, this is the first weird power up.
Like the real crux of my issue with the Tanuki is back in the Mario 3 days, I didn't have beef with the Tanuki suit. I just preferred the raccoon suit, right? I thought the actual power up ability of the Tanuki didn't add in any gameplay way I gave a shit about. So I was like, whatever. And I just preferred the way that Mario looked. Also, Kevin, can you please bring up Super Mario Brothers 3 box art? We're talking about some of the most iconic box art of all time. He's looking so damn good on that thing. All right.
Yeah.
That yellow, just blah in your fucking face. You know what goes great with yellow? Red, blue, and white. Fuck it. Why not? You know what I mean? The most garish color pattern of all time, but it sticks out and it freaking works. But yeah, I love this thing. He has a little tail. He has his little ears. It's great. Then you get to Super Mario 3D Land and they bring back the Tanuki suit for the first time. And they allow him to do all this stuff. Guess what? Raccoon suit's just gone. Raccoon suit erasure, bless.
Like gone from the box art?
Gone from everything. We've never seen the goddamn raccoon suit again. It's just Tanuki this, Tanuki that.
Wait, you're talking about just in general, like
in
the
Mario, period.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Mario Kart, you know?
No.
The Tanuki, isn't it? Or sorry, raccoon.
Tanuki.
Sorry, raccoon. Damn, I'm doing it now. I'm erasing the. Fuck. I mean, you're right. But that's because we got like the cape in world,
which is awesome.
I think the cape became a bit more iconic, but also we didn't really see the cape after that either, right?
No, which is bullshit.
Mario doesn't really fly anymore, right?
Yeah, he does in Galaxy.
I mean, a 2D Mario, like I guess you're right. And Galaxy kind of does. He has like the bumblebee thing.
Yeah,
but he doesn't like fly
cute,
as
fluffy,
freely. You know? I guess Mario 64, he got the. They're redoing it every fucking game.
All I'm saying is bring back the raccoon suit, okay, everybody.
Have I ever told you I want that tattooed?
And I appreciate that.
Yeah.
You should.
Specifically, like I want the raccoon just ears and tail tattooed.
I love that.
Just to represent Mario.
That's really good.
Yeah. One day. Soon, hopefully.
Soon, everybody. All right, bless.
Yep.
Enough about Mario. This isn't his day. He gets so many days. This is the day of the Kongs, okay? 4 of them in particular. One of them, perhaps, if you weren't good enough to play the game. Donkey Kong Country, Tropical Freeze. Did you play the original Donkey Kong Country games? Did you play Country Returns on the Wii? Have you ever played this? I want your history before you get into your score.
So Donkey Kong is a very fascinating franchise for me because I've been in and out of like so many of the games, but it's rare that I actually play all the way through a Donkey Kong game. So at the beginning, right, the original Donkey Kong, I played a fuck ton of the original Donkey Kong. Funny enough, like the arcade classic Donkey Kong, played the fuck out of that game. Donkey Kong Country was that series that Addison had. I didn't have a Super Nintendo growing up, right? My sisters had an NES that we play all the time. That's why I played so much Mario 3. And then I had a Nintendo 64, which is why I played a fuck ton of Donkey Kong 64. But the Donkey Kong Country games, the Super Nintendo ones, were the ones that I would go to Addison's house and like we would hop in and I'll play a bit of Diddy's Conquest. I'll play like some Diddy's Conquest, play some of the classic, play some of 3. But then one day I got a Game Boy Color, and on that Game Boy Color, I forget what they titled it, but they had a
port of Donkey. It was just Donkey Kong Country. Straight up.
I had Donkey Kong Country on the Game Boy Color.
The music was abysmal.
I played so much of that game on the Game Boy Color. And so like weird history, but I have hopped into like these various games. Donkey Kong Country Returns, I started and actually fell off of because I wasn't having a good time.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Like there's something about that game that just did not stick for me.
So are you talking about recently on the Switch or are you talking about back in the day?
Back in the day on the Wii.
The biggest problem is that was during the Wii era, which was Nintendo had to force motion controls into every goddamn thing. So Donkey Kong Country Returns, not free from that. evil curse.
Because you would have to like shake it to do
the roll, just the roll.
Oh, just the roll. You're right.
You would have to shake the Wiimote.
Yeah.
And then you had to like blow into the mic to like have him blow the little flowers and stuff. Like the Switch version fixes all of that stuff. But yeah, I understand you kind of being like, I'm falling off.
So I played that, fell off.
Fairly difficult game, all things considered.
Well, here's the thing playing Tropical Freeze is that Donkey Kong Country, I think typically very difficult game, right?
It can be. I feel like each of the games has a different thing that makes it difficult. Donkey Kong Country 1, it's the how sparse and spread out the save points are. Where like no individual challenge is that difficult, but you're not getting lives left and right. So if you don't kind of pace out your lives correctly, you can get into a sticky situation. Donkey Kong Country 2, like Bramble Blast and things like that, actually, Sticker Brush Symphony's level, those are difficult. And there is a lot of all the minecart things are kind of like annoying sometimes. And like,
dude, I remember struggling on the Game Boy with the minecart levels.
Yeah. And you can kind of like continue that on where there's always something that's like a huge difficulty spike.
Yeah. And so, like fell off of returns. And then, of course, Tropical Freeze came out, but it came out on the Wii U. And only 13 million people owned a Wii U. I did not own a Wii U. I never came around to playing Tropical Freeze until this last week because I finally had a reason, right? And it's, for me, it was less so even that, like, I remember when they first re-released Tropical Freeze on the Switch, I didn't have the inclination to get it just because I was like, I don't think people had expressed as much to me how good that game is until
hang out enough. That was all that it was. Because obviously I'm so fucking annoying about this game. But I mean, real talk, like you bring this up, but 13 million people with the Switch, like this, or with the Wii U. The Wii U was such a joke, and like nobody wanted it to be a success. Like there was the hardcore Nintendo fans that were just like, "Hey man, I got this thing. Just like we're getting games, but like just like let us enjoy our goddamn games." Yeah. And it was so hard. I remember being at IGN and like telling people, "Guys, this game is freaking good, man." And it's like people laugh, literally laugh at it. And they're like, "Oh, the fucking funky mode, you got the funky mode." And it's because at Game Awards, they didn't do themselves any service. Like they came out and like their big Nintendo announcement is now funky mode is here. And it's just like
what are we doing?
What are we doing? Cranky Kong's playable. It just felt like very tone deaf decisions from Nintendo. So the people that played, they knew, but everyone else was like, it's just another Donkey Kong Country game that's not featuring the Kremlins and King K. Rool that we remember from before.
We got to have a conversation about.
We do.
Because there's definitely a conversation to be had there. But another thing to it too is Tropical Freeze, I believe, came out before I started working at Kinda Funny. And I realized this because a couple weeks ago when I mentioned like, okay, I think I'm going to play this game. Maybe we could do a review on it. I went to pick up my Switch and I was like, oh, I don't own this game. And so I went to Greg and I was like, yo, is there any chance we could try to get a review code? And like, just knowing that it wasn't going to work out, because why would Nintendo have a review code for a game that came out years and years and years ago? Funny enough, they got back at Greg and were like, here's a review code.
Amazing.
For Tropical Freeze.
I love that.
Shout out to Nintendo for getting us a review code.
That's very cool. The chat is correcting me on some things, and I think it even illustrates my point more.
Yeah.
The funky mode was not for the Wii U. That was when they added it to the Switch. That was the new big fun thing, which is like, that even was a weird marketing thing for the Switch era. It was just Cranky Kong is going to be playable, and like the 4 playable characters that they announced, which was even more bizarre. And that was at a time that people wanted Retro to be making Metroid Prime 4. So when they announced another Donkey Kong platformer on the Wii U, it was like, what the fuck are we thinking right now?
Yeah.
So I'm very excited for you now.
Yeah, I've now beaten Tropical Freeze, which is like, it feels like a long time in the making, a long time coming. And I'll say I love this video game. I think was surprised. I was surprised by a few things. One, how old this game feels in some ways, not necessarily in like a bad way, but more so like I picked this game up, started playing, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is a Wii U game from 2013, 2014, like
13
somewhere
or 14.
At least a decade old.
I think 14.
And so as I'm hopping into it, it's almost like being sent back in time a little bit, where I'm like, oh yeah, like there's like the cutscenes look a little bit old, like the pre-rendered stuff looks a little bit older, and like
2014.
You know, I think
early 2014, February 13th.
Okay, there you go. And I think since then, obviously, like there have been so many indie platformers that have come out and all this stuff where I'm like, oh man, I'm so used to playing Celeste. I'm so used to playing like Super Meat Boy, which I think was earlier than this, but like even still, right? Like platformers have come such a long way since Tropical Freeze, which I would say is a compliment to Tropical Freeze that I can play it and still be like, damn, this is a banger. Like I am very impressed with Nintendo's ability here to, and I think maybe even more so retros, right? Like this feels like such a pure Nintendo platformer in all the great ways, in the fact that this is Retro doing this, working with Nintendo with these characters, and it feels so polished, it feels so creative, but also at the same time it feels, this game is very challenging. I was taken aback by how much I was dying and how fucking hard this game is. I am now a funky mode apologist. I didn't use it but I understand why it's there.
I love it. I love this for you so much. Yes.
By the time I got to like World 4 or 5, I was like, oh, no wonder. No wonder you added.
Fights?
One of the boss, a couple of the boss fights.
A couple of them, they just have one too many phases where you're like, oh, yeah, you expecting me to keep going? Okay.
Oh yeah. Oh my god, don't get me started on like, why won't you die? Just fucking die. I like, why are we still fighting? It's that element of it. It's the like, there's one boss where you're swimming the entire time and you have to like charge into things to then hit the boss, or like charge into the boss, where I think things like that sometimes feel dated and artificially hard as opposed to like naturally like difficult in like a great way. So I do have some qualms with that, but overall I think the moment-to-moment gameplay here is fun. It has that good combination of feeling like it's fresh, original. One of the things I hear talked about all the time with this game, but it's really cool seeing it in action, is how every platform and function of the levels is a natural element of the level. If there's a platform, it's because there's a tree sticking out, or it's because there's like something that created that platform. Like everything is part of the world design, which I think makes this game age beautifully. I think that part of the level design is so fucking well done. And then also like I like the upgrades, even though I think Diddy Kong and Dixie Kong kind of feel similar as far as like, all right, cool, they just let me float longer, right? Diddy Kong has his jetpack, Dixie her hair spins or whatever, and she might have like a little bit of levitation to it, but like Cranky Kong felt truly unique as far as like how he functioned as an upgrade, where I'm like bouncing off of things. And I never really had that strong of a preference when I see one of those upgrade barrels. It's like switching around to their different logos, or I'm like, all right, cool, I think I'm gonna go Cranky Kong here. Actually, no, I'm gonna go Dixie Kong here, right? There's a good balance of that.
And I think that is something that's so special about Tropical Freeze when we're talking about comparing the Donkey Kong Country games, because I love all of them to different degrees. 3 is still the one that I owe it to people in the chat. I forget who exactly, but I owe it to them. To maybe it was Mara, I think, that I need to play through that game one day fully, because I never really gave it its due. But 2 and Tropical Freeze are my favorites, and I love 1 a lot. There's so much about 1 that like elements that are my favorite. But the thing I like least of 1 is I always prefer to be playing as Dixie than Donkey Kong.
Like, in 1,
yes,
Diddy.
I always prefer to be Diddy than Donkey. And it's just because of how different they play. And I feel the mobility that you have as Diddy is like so much better. The levels are better designed for that type of gameplay. They solved that for me in 2 because you're Diddy and Dixie. They play so similar, so I love that. This game, I think, does the best job of, no matter who you're playing as, it feels right. It feels like the levels are designed for them. And to your point, it's fun to play as the different characters, just to kind of switch it up a little bit, even if it is Cranky, who I would say is probably the least interesting of all of them. Yeah.
Like I think the bounce move, it like for specific scenarios, it can be very useful. But then even when you're not in those like, I'm going to bounce off this thing kind of thing, I think he can still be somewhat useful, especially when you're swimming underwater. That was one of the things that I learned at like probably way further into the game than I should have, where if you're underwater with Cranky and you press the like a button, he'll like swing with his beard. And that shit got me through many a jam once I learned that. And so shout out to that. I think that stuff is awesome. And then one thing I love about this game, and this is like maybe the one compliment I'll give to it, especially over like the new Super Mario Brothers stuff, Until Wonder, where this game has such good set piece moments. I think about was it New Super Mario Brothers for Wii U that had the Starry Night level, where it was like, oh damn, this is special right here. This game has like a handful of really cool set piece levels where you had like multiple sort of silhouette levels that you're playing through, where you can see the color of DK's tie and then like maybe the hair of Dixie or whoever, and then everything else is kind of silhouetted, and that shit presents so well. It looks really cool. And then like those levels also, they're not the most like, at least for me, right, they weren't super demanding as far as difficulty, and so like getting through them kind of felt like a moment, right? Like that, like the difficulty didn't distract from like actually playing those levels and enjoying them and getting through them. And so stuff like that I fucking loved. I really liked the like kind of like the challengey sort of levels where you had the
bonus
barrel.
Rooms.
Yeah, like the bonus rooms, and then like the levels where it would be I'm flying on a barrel, and I essentially have to get from beginning to
the
end.
rocket barrel levels, dude.
The rocket barrel levels.
Woo!
In a different universe, I fucking hate those levels.
Oh yeah,
but in this game, I really like them.
Do you know why?
Why is that?
Because you beat them. They're in your past.
You know what?
I mean? That is the
fair.
difference. You either fucking hate those things and you're like, I'm putting the controller down and never play this game again.
Yeah.
Or you push through and you get through and you're like, you know what? I kind of fuck with them.
Like, that's me. I was like, I fucked with that. I fucked with the minecart levels, and usually, like, I hate them. I remember as a kid hating the minecart levels. So I like those as well. The music is really good. Here's the thing.
It's David Wise, man.
Here's the thing. Did he score this game, or what? Like,
yes.
They just work? Because I heard Aquatic Ambience, and obviously I heard reprises of his music that he did for the classic Donkey Kong Country games. But like, I love that whenever you're swimming underwater, you get that hint of Aquatic Ambience.
Yeah.
They knew what the assignment was. Here we go. So yeah, Kevin tried to bring in some sound there so you can hear it a little bit. But like, I think the music's great. I like that they reprise a lot of that stuff. Honestly, if I'm being real about it though, like, I think the music that's memorable for me are the parts where they reprise. Like the original stuff, I can't really recall in my head automatically. But hey, when you got a soundtrack that's so good from your classic entries, bring it back, make that shit pop. Like, I'm looking forward to Sticker Bush Symphony in Bananza as well, right? Like,
of course.
That's the stuff that I want.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had an overall
this
great
level's
time.
so great, dude. Where you're going through like the whole wood chipper thing in the minecart. Like, there's just so much creativity in the places you go. And originally, that was like a big concern with the game because Donkey Kong Returns, the first one on Wii, that you could now play on Switch as well.
Yeah.
So maybe it might be a little too much back to back, but like when you have another lull, it'd be a fun one to go to. I do think Tropical Freeze is vastly superior, but still a good game. Has some special, unique things about it too. But one of the big issues was the like Tiki bad guys were kind of forgettable. It was definitely not. They're more similar to the Rabbit family in Mario Odyssey than like the Koopa Kids or something. You're like, all right, we love these things, even if they're overdone at this point. But not having the Kremlins or K. Rool or anything, even at the time, was definitely a letdown. And then when we get to Tropical Freeze, it was like, all right, cool. Now there's these like penguin Vikings, and like the theme of the game is ice. And ice levels are usually people's not
least
favorite levels.
Yeah.
So there was a lot going against it. Like, oh man, are you telling me half the theme of this game is going to be something I'm not going to love? And man, I was wrong. Like, they really find creative ways to make the Tropical Freeze motif work in so many different ways that you would not just expect.
Yeah, I thought there would have been more progression to it, but I think at the end of the day, I like how it netted out. I guess I won't spoil Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, right? But like, you get some ice levels, but I like the fact that a lot of that stuff is saved toward the end, but you do get these environmental changes as you're working your way through the different worlds they have here. And like getting to, I think it was like world 2 or 3, where you had like a fiery savanna situation. I was like, oh, this is like, I kind of like there being like a climate change sort of like ethos to this. And again, it lends to the creativity of the level design here. Like, for me, as far as like the recent, like the modern, like new Super Mario Brothers games, if I'm comparing this to that, I think this game kind of like topples those as far as level design up until maybe Wonder. I think Wonder with the Wonder Flower stuff, or Wonder Seed, or whatever it's called, right? Like, that does a lot to bring 2D Mario back on that creative level for me. But Tropical Freeze, what they were doing with this game in early 2014, as far as level design and keeping it creative and interesting and having every level kind of have its own gimmick to it, like, bravo. Like, they really, really killed it on that front.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about retro, right? So coming off of Metroid Prime trilogy at that point, it's like Metroid Prime is, in a lot of ways, pinnacle of level design and world design, atmosphere, and all of that. They really took that and applied it to a Donkey Kong Country game. And on paper, that doesn't make sense. But then seeing this compared to the Super Nintendo games, it makes all the sense. Like, this, it really is kind of like sometimes, A plus B equals C in the most obvious ways. And that's what I think Tropical Freeze is from a gameplay and kind of art design perspective.
Yeah. Now, to talk about the villains, the characters, all that stuff, right? I'm in a weird place with Donkey Kong overall, where obviously we have the nostalgia for the classic things, right? And like, I played various forms of the classic country games, and then also a lot of DK64. So when I think of DK, I think of Kremlins, I think of King K. Rool, and I feel like that has kind of solidified in my brain as like the prototypical iconic, like these are the DK enemies. And so like I didn't know, I guess no, actually I think I did know that coming into this game we're gonna get like a different sort of like cast of villains or whatever. They didn't really stick out to me. Like they didn't really do much for me as far as like, oh damn, like these are the guys, you know. For me it just felt like, okay, here's a bunch of bad animals. Like these animals are coming in and like they're icing the place up and they're, you know, messing with DK and like you got to take him out. Like I was kind of let down on that on that front. Tim, for you, like do you remember that being a thing that like was a point of conversation?
Oh yeah. It was a point of conversation. To this day I still agree with it. I don't think that they're bad by any means, but it's a difficult conversation to have because we are old men at this point talking about these like worlds and characters that were made and designed for children. And we're talking about games that some of them are 30 plus years old and some of them are 10 years old and everything in between. Where are we really just going to do the same thing over and over? Is it really always going to be these like army fatigued crocodiles coming at you and all that? Or are we going to switch it up? You look at the Mario side, and it was a long time since we'd seen the Koopa Kids. They were in Mario 3, they were in World, and then we didn't see them for a long time. They came back in New Super Mario Brothers Wii, I think it was, and then it was just kind of nonstop, right? Like that, they're always there.
Yeah.
And it just gets a little bit like, okay, been there, done that.
It does get old.
In terms of boss fight design, which is what they're there for at the end of the day. Otherwise, like, what personality? They have little tiny things, but it's not like the major focus of any of the Mario games is the lore and story of the Koopa Kids, you know?
Yeah.
But that's a little different with the Donkey Kong games. I feel like the Kremlins and King K. Rool in particular had more character to him, had a theme that was associated with him, had the whole pirate vibe going on, specifically in Donkey Kong Country 2. So I feel like it's been way too long since we've seen those villains, and there's still more to give there, where I would have been really hyped in the same way that you get hyped hearing the old David Wise music in this game, kind of like modernized, getting the K. Rool themes and all that stuff. It felt like a fleshed out bad guy character because it had that 90s melody based video game music to it, like boss fight music that had layers to the phases and stuff. These new guys, it just felt like you're fighting bad animals with bad guy boss themes. It didn't feel like I associate any of the like boss themes with the characters, and I do think that goes a long way for these type of games.
Yeah, and I think I don't know if I have a better solution aside from like, you know, I don't know, put more personality or whatever. Or maybe it's just that I'm an adult, right? Like I'm an adult playing this, and so it's like I don't know if you're gonna make a villain in a kid's game that's going to like stand out and be memorable and be something where I'm like, oh, that's fucking cool. But and like, you know, I feel like I've had this problem a lot with recent platformers that it could be more of a me thing when I look at Astrobot's villains and I'm like, that doesn't do much for me. But yeah, for me it's the same thing here where I'm like, you know, I think mechanically finding these villains, I like a lot of what they have going on, even though they're fucking tough a lot of the time. Like I think, you know, they really went above and beyond of really thinking out these boss fights and making them be a thing of you have to master this game. Like we're making you master the mechanics of this game to really take them out. I think on that level, they did a great job. But yeah, that was like one of the things where I was like, man, I would love to see this step up.
Yeah.
Another thing I want to shout out are the collectibles, because of course we're talking about DK. We got to talk about collectibles.
You got to.
It's funny how in so many platformers, right? Mario, you got the coins. I guess Ratchet, you got the fucking bolts or whatever, right? Like everything has its own collectible to it, and the bananas don't get old to me in DK. Like there's something about like the even the sound of picking up a banana or picking up a bundle of bananas, and like it's
musical.
Like there's a feel to it, there's a feeling to it, and like I don't know, I like that. The coin stuff, cool, like collecting currency so I can buy balloons and shit. All right, dope. Puzzle pieces for challenges, you know, you collect the bundles of bananas sometimes and like that'll appear, or the Kong letters will appear. I like the wealth of collectibles in a game like this, and I want a wealth of collectibles in a game like this.
I think, you know what, I have thoughts on that, but I want to save till after a word from our sponsors. This episode's brought to you by Shady Rays. Get ready for the season ahead with quality shades built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays have you covered with premium polarized shades that won't break the bank. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company offering a world-class product rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. They have hundreds of options to choose from, so you're bound to find the perfect pair to match your style. If you don't love your shades, exchange them for a new pair or simply return worry-free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop. Their team are always there to have your back with personal and fast support. Y'all know I've been outside a lot playing Pokemon Go, and it's such a great experience wearing Shady Rays when I'm out and about looking dope. Exclusively for you, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal. Head to shadyrays.com and use code FUNNY for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Again, go to shadyrays.com, use code FUNNY to get 35% off polarized sunglasses. Couple good chats I want to bring up real quick. 11 Him says, I'd say World 5, the Fruit Lollipop production line, counters these complaints about enemies. If it's perfectly with the enemies and the world matches them to make a story, I think that's when the game's at its best, is when there are like levels of storytelling throughout the level design.
Yeah.
And with the bad guys and with the music, and that all comes together to create these like memorable, you called them set pieces earlier, but it is kind of these like special moments within the game. I don't think we get enough of them, and I don't think that we get enough that feels like it is leading into the next world. It kind of just feels like its own little one and done thing, which is great. But I feel like for some of the big boss fights and stuff, like I don't think that it has that additive level of, if we never see these villains again in a Donkey Kong game, I'm going to be totally okay.
Dude, if you ask me right now to like name the villains or name like the bosses.
But even seeing them visually, it's like I'd remember like, oh yeah, it's you. You know what I mean? But like, I don't know that I'd get excited about that. But I agree that there are definitely good examples.
Also, I know we're about to talk about collectibles, but Kevin brought up a level of that one. Again, like this is another one of those barrel flight levels, right? But like one of the things I love that the game does is it, at random points will turn 3D. Like sometimes it'll be you'll hop into a barrel and it'll shoot you into a foreground and then the level continues. And that's a small thing, but also like I'm sure design wise takes a lot of time, but also adds a lot to the experience as far as like being immersed in these levels, going from foreground to background to foreground. That stuff is awesome. But then even the camera switching and it still being a 2D platformer, but like you get this brief sequence of being in a 3D plane and like having that different feel to it. That makes that shit feel like an adventure. That makes that shit feel dynamic, and I love that shit.
Yeah, I mean, if you love that, Bless, you should play Crash Bandicoot 4. It's about time.
Probably right.
And then also after that, Nico Dorico, the magical world that blends this game in Crash 4. Like, there's a lot of good stuff out there if you like this. There's not that much, because like there's a very specific feel to these games.
I should play Crash 4. Man. I'm like I've grown up a Crash hater.
Yeah,
but
Crash 4 is different.
I'm ready to right my wrongs.
No, it's not perfect, but like it is different, and I think that I think you'd really, really, really vibe with it. I want to talk about collectibles. We got a little sidetracked there. I think that the sign of a incredibly well-designed platformer is well-placed collectibles, because they are the difference between you play through the game and difficulty levels that you don't need to just set and forget. It's part of your dynamic experience playing the games. You can just get from point A to point B, beat the level, and be done. Or you can get all the puzzle pieces and the Kong letters and everything. And when you get K, O, and G, and you're like, where is that N? You have the choice when you beat the level. Do I go to the next level, or am I going back to find that thing? And whenever you're incentivized to do that, you're incentivized to check out every nook and cranny of the level and really get behind how well designed these things are. And I think that is where they go from, okay, 2D platformers to, oh my God, these games are special. And there's always been something about Donkey Kong Country specifically, whether it's the rare games or the retro games. They care about their collectible placement so much. I think about the Mario, the new Super Mario Brothers games. They have the
coins,
the challenge coins, right? Like there's like the 3 in each level or whatever.
Oh yeah,
those would be the things where it's like, you know, in your first playthrough, I always try to get them all because I like that stuff. And they'd always kind of put them like out of reach or like somewhere that like you wouldn't necessarily go, and that's cool and that's fine. There's something about, you know, how many times have you heard video games? They're well designed when they teach you what you need to do. The first screen of Super Mario Brothers 1 that teaches you go left to right and all that. Like, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yep.
Donkey Kong Country and Donkey Kong Country 2 in particular, the way they use their bananas, the way they have ranked systems of collectibles, where Banana's lowest tier, right?
Sure, yeah.
They're just everywhere. But they're not just, okay, they're all there, they can get you the lives and all that. That's a function of them gameplay-wise. More often than not, the Bananas are there to guide you. Whether it's guiding you to completing the level, or you see a hole that every time you would jump down a hole like that, you die. But you see a row of bananas pointing down. That means there's probably a barrel down there for you to get into. They teach you how to explore these levels so that you can find the collectibles in a different way. And I'll never forget playing Donkey Kong Country 1 and starting a level, and at the very beginning, there was like a bunch of bananas, not even making an arrow, just kind of like to the left. And I'm like, oh, so now anytime I play a level in Donkey Kong Country, I go left first every single time.
Same.
That shit's special, man.
Oh, yeah.
And Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, I think, is one of the best examples of the layers of collectibles and how each one kind of fits into the next of teaching you to fully explore the levels that they have designed for you.
Yeah, I think they do a great job of having it be a language. Like you talk about the tiers of collectibles, right? We have the singular bananas, you have the bundles of bananas, you have the Kong letters, you have the puzzle pieces, right? And that shit ranks up as far as, you know, what their purpose is, and then also like the difficulty of getting them. I do also like that, like even at that lowest tier, the regular bananas have multiple functions. Like you mentioned, you get the lives, but then also sometimes bananas will appear and then you have to collect all the bananas in a certain amount of time so that you can get a puzzle piece.
Yes.
Right. And like you learn this as you play the game. And then as you do that, right, the language of the game changes and the ways that I'm thinking about exploring all these levels changes. And I forgot to even mention the coins too, right? Like they have such a strong economy of collectibles in this game to where in late game, there are times where I'm like, God, I'm just praying for a balloon. I'm just give me an extra life right now. Like I can use it. Man, I'm praying for a coin so I can afford like some kind of shield for the next thing or an extra heart or whatever, right? Oh man, I just need a heart because I'm one hit. I need a heart right now. Like at any given moment, there is some collectible that I am kind of in need of, like I'm desperately asking for. And it creates such a great tension while playing this game, and also like ups the difficulty, right? Like this is such a I think, you know, having this game or this series kind of be the balance out of, hey, Mario, it's easy. Mario, it's like more of a casual experience. Like you can play it at a higher level or whatever. But at the end of the day, Mario is meant for everybody. DK is that upper difficulty. Hey, like for me playing, I gave up pretty quickly on collecting everything because I was like, yo, they're asking a lot of me. They're asking a lot of me. I'm gonna throw out controller on regular, like playing regularly, just trying to like complete the game. Period. Just trying to get to the end of it. There are times where I'm like putting down my controller and like, you know, fucking clenching up my fist and being like, God damn it, you know, I can't believe I fucking died in that way, or I got chopped, or like this level right here, fuck this level, like, you know, like there's so much bullshit in this game, but I appreciate the bullshit. I appreciate how hard this goes because like it has the presentation of like what you want out of a Nintendo game, right? But like you can interact with this game on such a deep level through those levels of collectibles, levels of difficulty that they add to it that I appreciate, because I could have played this game for probably like 3 times as much length as I played it for this review. And so,
I mean, if that's the case, Bless, like real talk, you have Donkey Kong Country Returns, like to play. Like it's just awesome that like if you want more, it is there for you.
Oh
like, they again not too much more, but Kev, can you bring up Nico Dorico, the Magical World, real quick? It's Niko.
This man will always bring up Nico Dorico.
I have to. Somebody has to.
Yeah.
And I want to be clear. It's like, you know, this game is a from a very small team that may or may not exist. It's kind of a weird like something
may not exist.
I mean, I remember trying to figure out who made this game, and it was just like it seemed shadier than it probably is, but like I don't know. But then there was a video when they announced the director's cut of real people that were like working on the game. So I'm like,
I love the idea of like this being a Nintendo ghost kitchen, where it's like just a secret team.
It kind of has that vibe to it. But this is just an ad. So yeah, a lot of problems with the game in terms of just like, the characters look fucking weird. And if you had problems with the Nintendo style of cutscenes in Donkey Kong, that's all that this is. Like,
oh, great.
Don't worry about that stuff. But
yeah,
it's just a 4K Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze.
I love that.
Like, it's You'd have a blast with this game.
The big Nico letters at the top earlier are killing me.
I mean, dude, I don't know if there's any part of this that like actually beat a level, but it ends the same way. If you jump into the thing and then beat up the...
Oh, that's
it's
great.
Like, it is the most copy and paste of a game ever. But I mean, I'm not complaining when it's a game I love. And then, all these sequences that are more Crash 4 inspired.
Hell yeah, dude. I got this downloaded. Like, it's on my Switch too. That's awesome. I'm gonna boot it up one day. I gotta get Crash 4 on there as well. I think like I'm gonna add that to my I'm a backlog guy now. I used to be anti-backlog, but this year I'm starting my backlog.
Man, backlog poppy. I'm here for it.
And I had Tropical Freeze was one of the games on my backlog, so I've knocked that out now, and I'm going back to Mass Effect 2. I'm gonna add Crash 4 to the backlog.
Dude, I'm so happy.
Crash 4 is getting played. But yeah, overall, like if I'm giving a score to Tropical Freeze, I'm gonna say 9 out of 10. I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10.
I'm so happy to hear that. Plus, I'm also happy to hear that you want to play Crash 4, and maybe we get a group of us together and do a multi-man replay re-review. That would be fun.
That'd be fun.
I love this. 9 out of 10. Obviously amazing on the kind of funny scale. I think that is incredibly important to point out. This is a 10-year-old plus game.
Yes.
Right? And sure, it's coming out on Switch, but still, you are giving it a 9 because it holds up that well. And I've heard you over the last week talking about this and talking about how some of the difficulties surprised you and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was thinking you might go a little lower. I was thinking, oh, you might be like, hey, it's great, I get it, but 7.5 or 8. So to hear you say 9, I'm like, goddamn, dude.
No, it's like it's just too well. It's too polished. It's too like I think even for the difficulty stuff, it's difficult in a way that I like because it brings me back. Like there's such a strong nostalgia I have in struggling hard in a 2D platformer that I kind of fuck with. Like it reminds me of playing classic Donkey Kong games and dying on the cart level.
Oh yeah.
And like trying it over and over again and just praying to see an extra life. You know what I mean? And like I think there is something about that experience that I miss out of Nintendo games, especially out of Mario. I've never in the last like decade and a half of Mario games, maybe even longer than that, right? Like there's not been once where I'm like, damn, I wish I could get an extra life right now. Like not once. But there's something that I think is special about that experience, and I think games have often leaned off of that in favor of like making stuff more player friendly, which I understand and like I think in a lot of times is necessary. But like,
and there's a funky mode.
There is a funky mode to make this game more player friendly, and also you can spend coins to buy more lives, which I ended up doing in the last world finally, where I was like, yo, I'm shelling out, give me 30 balloons. Fuck it. And then I died like 20 times on the final boss.
Yeah, that final boss, dude.
Yeah, but I appreciate how much this game asks of you. I again love the like level design of it. I think that makes it age so well. And yeah, like I don't know. I have like small qualms, small complaints, but nothing that really like takes away from the game that much. I think I understand why people would say this is one of the best 2D platformers ever made.
And earlier when we were talking about the bananas, I brought up that there's like a musical quality to collecting the bananas, where like you just even the sound effects, it's satisfying to collect them. Where it's satisfying to get rings in Sonic or coins in Mario, but it's different than this game. There's always been kind of a music theme to Donkey Kong. First off, the music is sublime. Yeah. Right? Like, oh my God, we're just talking about some of like the best music to just listen to, period. Video game or otherwise. And then you think about the bongos, you think about just like the moves that Donkey Kong has. And there's a lot of like musical type levels in this, or even just like bouncing down, like what we just had the B-roll a second ago of like him jumping on the different enemies to get over obstacles. Yeah. And you get a rhythm to it, but then you also like feel the music of it as you're playing through. Like I mean, literally they're bouncing on like timpani drums and stuff. And it's like the sound design, I think, goes so far in this game to kind of like make it all a cohesive experience. And that gets me really excited looking at everything they're showing from Bananza of having Pauline be in the game and having singing be such a big part of the game. Like seems so bizarre, but then you're like, all right, cool. The Mario Odyssey level with Pauline, with her singing and stuff, like cool. They're just tying that back in. But it really goes back to like the core of Donkey Kong's identity to have like these musical based worlds and powers. Like, let's talk about Donkey Kong Bananza.
Oh, yeah.
We are 10 days away, let's say. What are your hype levels?
I'm super hyped for it. I mean, obviously, me and Barrett are the DK64 sickos, right? Like, I think back to that game all the time whenever I think about like games that define my childhood and how much I love that game as being the only 3D Donkey Kong game, right? Like, the fact that we're getting another 3D Donkey Kong game, it's fucking insane to me that we're here. But then also, I think one of the things that I remember feeling leading into the last direct that we had for DK Bananza, and I think one of the things that makes it special that I'm playing this game now, being the previous DK game before Bananza, is that like Nintendo is trying to usher in a new era of Donkey Kong, right? Like Donkey Kong doesn't look like this anymore. Like Donkey Kong now looks like DK Bananza's Donkey Kong, which kind of harkens back to the classic Donkey Kong, right? And like, you know, when you think about what Rare did with DK and what Retro did with DK, so many other people handle DK. Nintendo in-house doesn't often, like, you don't have the EPD team make Donkey Kong games, right? Yeah. Like, this is kind of a new thing. It's a new emphasis. It's a new, like, era that Nintendo's trying to step into with this character that I'm so fascinated about, because I think for me, like, you talk about the music, you talk about like what DK means. For me, I also will throw out there the fact of, like, you know, shout out to the iconic things that Rare brought to the franchise, like the barrels, and like, you know, I even looking at that world map, I was like, man.
But think about it, they didn't, right? What did Donkey Kong throw at Mario?
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Like, I guess shooting from somewhere. Like, it's like Donkey.
That's a really good point.
To your point, though, like Donkey Kong just has such amazing legacy that like so many talented teams have worked with, but there's a through line. They always like bring so much with it.
Like, I almost wanted to say there's like a culture to Donkey Kong, which like
there is.
Like, as far as like, I guess an ethos, there is a design language to Donkey Kong, and it's very thick and it's a very strong, you know, design world that they have within DK that I don't think I think about too often, right? Like, it's funny because when I say culture, I almost think like Sonic fans, how there's a culture there. But like, you know, DK has so much going on in it, and there's so much to pull from. And so I'm excited to see Nintendo play in the Donkey Kong world, which is funny to say, but like they don't often do it, and there's so much that you can do there. And so I'm excited for that. I mean, I'm excited for it mechanically, right? It being from the Odyssey team, we finally got that confirmed. It having this destructible environment stuff, I'm fascinated about. I think that has a lot of potential to be really cool. Adding Pauline to the mix, I understand like why you want to do that, to give like, you know, this, to give a character to it, to give like somebody who can speak words, and then also like, the musical element to it as well. And then also having a redesign for DK that can be more expressive and can be more animated. Like, they're making a lot of decisions here that feel intentional. And like, I'm very excited about it. Like, I think it's one of those ones that's not going to hit me fully until I have the controller in my hands and I'm just exploring the world. I'm like, man, this is what it's about. But for you, where do you stand with it?
Yeah, I'm very similar to you. I can't wait till I'm 3 hours into this game. Yeah. Because I feel like there's going to be that initial kind of like warm up period of learning all the different mechanics and stuff. But I want to know how just straight up hooked I'm going to be wanting to explore everything. Because you're taking the Mario Odyssey team, at least some of it, and you're applying the logic of Donkey Kong, everything we just spent 45 minutes talking about, of all the collectibles and how there's like levels to the collectibles and how it teaches you to explore the levels. Apply that to a 3D open space that the Odyssey team is known for. This could be an all-timer.
Yeah.
Again, I had my trepidations. I didn't love it when I was playing it. I didn't love the you can destroy anything. It kind of just felt a little haphazard and empty to me. Seeing the direct makes me think, okay, cool. There's a lot more here than just breaking everything. Like having the different upgrades with the animals to allow you to traverse differently. Like, I definitely, and from day one, I've been holding out being like, I'm just talking about the experience I've had with this game. But I obviously am hopeful for them. Talking about the team, talking about the IP, talking about this being the first major post-launch game for the Nintendo Switch 2. Like, yeah, the expectations are this is a Game of the Year contender, right? Yeah. So yeah, very, very excited.
I think the place where I sit with it is I already have the expectations that this is going to be a great game. I'm curious / excited to see if this can be a great Donkey Kong game. I think coming off of Tropical Freeze and us having this conversation, right? Like, there is such a legacy here. And
high highs, man.
In the direct, we got they talked about a lot of that stuff, right? Like, hey, here's music. Hey, like, you know, here's the character. Here's Diddy Kong. Here's these characters that we've seen before, right? But it is still, you're still doing something new. I think you're doing something risky here as Nintendo by, like, you know, really trying to refresh what this is. But also, I want to see big swings. I want to see DK, you know, be in that Nintendo Big 3, that Nintendo Big 5 that we talk about.
Yeah. I mean, I love it. And again, like we're talking about incredibly high quality games. It is funny because I'm not even joking at all, but it's like Donkey Kong 64, I do think is going to be a lot of people's touch point to like thinking when they see this game, they'll think about that game. And that's not doing it any favors, right? Like Donkey Kong 64 was, again, for a lot of reasons, I'm not even talking necessarily about the actual quality of that game. Sure. I'm talking about the fact of when it came out and it was not Banjo-Kazooie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like at that point, it was the, fourth rare 3D collectathon on the N64, and also it required the expansion pass. Like very similar conversations
so
to
much
the Wii
expectation.
U. Exactly, but same with Tropical Freeze, where it's just like when it came out, it was like, well, people wanted Metroid, people didn't want another Donkey Kong Country platformer. It was the Wii U. Like there was a lot of factors against it. There are only factors for it now for this one, right? Like Bonanza's teed up to be the most mainstream wide appeal Donkey Kong game we've ever had. Yeah. So I hope they pull it off.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know more than like the original Donkey Kong. Do you think so?
Yeah.
I feel like the original Donkey Kong is so like iconic.
Iconic, sure. But I'm talking about like actual people wanting to play the game. Sheer numbers. There are more gamers now than there used to be.
That's fair. That's fair.
You know what I mean? Yeah. It's just like, yeah, sure, maybe you played the arcade Donkey Kong, but like no one's fucking rocking for that. Not no one. Very few people. And I'm saying this as somebody that...
How dare you?
I rock for
Donkey... Watch your mouth.
Have you played Donkey Kong 94 on the Game Boy?
No.
It's on NSO. If you love that game, there's a full game of it.
Man, give me the original. Give me the original.
All right, everybody. This has been our Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze review in 2025. I love our job so goddamn
I'm glad we got to do this.
That's insane. Great conversation, too.
Let me tell you, I almost didn't make it. I almost didn't beat that game. Because I was trying to save over the weekend, obviously birthday, July 4th. I wasn't trying to like quote unquote work. I know I'm playing a game, right? But I was trying to focus on just relaxing, chilling. Yeah. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna mark out some time yesterday, Monday, right, to like beat the game because I was in the last world. And when I tell you those last couple of levels, oh man, they're whooping my ass. I was like, dude, I want to beat this game for the review, but man, this boss fight is whooping me. We made it. We made it, everybody. Let us know in the comments below. Actually, we got an Interjetstream super chat saying, my wife's never played Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze. You both convinced me. It's time to co-op it with her this weekend and prep for Bonanza. You both rock. Hell yeah, have the best time. I hope that's great. I've never actually played it in co-op, so I don't know how that's going to function. I don't think I knew there was a co-op mode. Yeah. So cool. Good luck. Hope you'll love it. And until next time, love you all. Goodbye.